So, over the course of this video, you may find yourself asking a couple questions. Like, what exactly is an HBCU? What the heck is a PWI? What is the difference? Does it even matter? Well, you're in luck, because I'm here to give you the down low on all the info you need to know. So let's define some terms, shall we? HBCU stands for Historically Black Colleges and Universities, and they're, well, exactly what they sound like. Before the advent of the HBCU, many black students were denied admission into academic spaces meant for white students. HBCUs were formed as an alternative to PWIs for black students pursuing higher education. You've likely heard of some HBCUs before. Florida's own FAMU is an HBCU, Morehouse, Spelman College, as well as Howard University. The next term is PWI. PWI stands for Predominantly White Institution, and this is also pretty straightforward. This is any institution where white students constitute at least 50% of the general student body, if not more. Any university you can think of right now is likely a PWI. UCLA, Harvard, NYU, our very own UCF, all PWIs. There are certain, let's just say, preconceived notions that tend to pop up when discussing the differences between the two. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll get into that a little later. In this video, we're going to take a look at HBCUs and the academic experiences of the students that attend them. Hopefully, we can give you a better insight into what HBCUs are really about.
One of the myths about historically black colleges and universities is that only black students can attend them. This couldn't be further from the truth. The Center for Minority Serving Institutions at the University of Pennsylvania released a report detailing the changing faces of historically black colleges and universities. In a report by the Center of Institutions at the University of Pennsylvania, the number of non-black students at HBCUs has risen to over 24% since the 1950s.
In an interview discussing his experiences at an HBCU, Holly Gant-Jones recounts a very disheartening experience that he had at his job as a high school counselor. He said that one day, several students came to him to complain because another staff member had advised him against going to an HBCU because of his black orientation. This claim reeks of anti-black sentiments. But it also speaks to one of the prevailing myths about HBCUs and how their black orientation is code for a school that focuses less on academics and more on social functions. But this is really the truth. In a study done in 2002, researchers looked at the satisfaction levels of black students attending historically black colleges and universities in predominantly white institutions. What they found was that overall, a higher percentage of historically black college and university students felt that they had an overall satisfactory experience at their college when compared to their predominantly white institute counterparts. In addition to that, over 74% felt satisfied with their overall level of instruction, and 83% felt satisfied with selection of courses in the major. Do the opinions of some of our interviewees share the same sentiments?
Okay, so in this part, I reached out to my friend Janelle, who I went to high school with, and she graduated from Howard University. So I reached out to her, asked her a couple questions, and today Tariq is going to fill in and be Janelle, and we're just going to role play the questions and the answers. There's a stereotype that academically HBCUs aren't exactly as rigorous as PWIs. Do you feel as though this is true?
Well, every school is prestigious in certain programs, and they may lack in others. The education at a HBCU is different, but it's not necessarily on a higher or lower level than at a predominantly white institution. It's just different. At an HBCU, I not only learn math, but I learn about specific black mathematicians. Do you see how that could be very personal and deeply inspiring for a black person? The curriculum at HBCU is just as rigorous as any other college. It just has an emphasis on black history.
How enriching do you feel that your classes have been?
I feel they've been very enriching. Attending an HBCU was the best decision of my life. I've learned so much about my culture and was exposed to the truth about black influencers. The reason why HBCUs are typically pro-black is because we learned the truth about the injustices that we have faced and that have affected our community for hundreds of years, you know. It's not hate we begin to feel towards anyone. It's love for who we are. It's an awakening moment. I've also had plenty of career opportunities due to Howard.
That's really interesting. Has your family and friends outside of school, have they been supportive to your decision to attend?
Well, you know, my whole family attended an HBCU, and it was honestly just a natural decision for me, you know. Being able to look up to my parents and witness their success was very motivational to me. My parents, grandparents, brothers, aunts, uncles, all that attended Florida A&M University in Tallahassee, Florida. And there's rich history in HBCUs in my family. As we can see, Janelle doesn't subscribe to the overarching ideas of Black anti-intellectualism. She rejects the idea of HBCUs being somehow different than PWIs in terms of academic rigor, and says that while going to an HBCU definitely gave her perspectives that she might not have gotten elsewhere, she still has ample career opportunities due to attending an HBCU.
In the 1970s, Pierre Bourdieu introduced the concept of cultural capital, which is defined as certain status symbols that people either have or exhibit that allow them to access certain spaces. Bourdieu listed 3 types of cultural capital: embodied, objectified, and institutional. When applying these concepts to HBCUs, Greek life provides an excellent example of just how cultural capital, specifically embodied cultural capital, operates in the real world.
Historically Black Greek organizations dubbed themselves with the Divine Nine, which is a group of Greek letter organizations that comprise the National Panhellenic Council. Many students find themselves becoming a part of Greek organizations and then become overnight celebrities. They gain and lose friends, but now they have access to different types of capital or experiences and behaviors that grant them certain advantages or disadvantages in society that they might not have had before. So Janelle was so gracious to let us interview her not only about academic and social life at Howard University, but her experiences with Greek life as well. And so this time Brianna will be playing the part of Janelle. So Janelle, have you ever considered joining a Greek organization?
I joined Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority in spring 2016, Hall of FAME, and my line name, and I am number 5.
Was Greek life a deciding factor in you coming to, Howard University?
Yes, it was definitely a deciding factor because my mom and both of my grandmothers are life members of the sorority. The same one that I joined, and it was founded at Howard, so not only was I continuing a legacy, but joining the same organization, I created my own attending the founding school. It was very special for all of us to experience together.
What presence really does Greek life have on the campus of Howard University?
Greek life is Howard. My sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Inc., was founded in 1908, and at that time, slavery was just ending. And think about the importance of a club that supports a high scholaristic and ethical standards, promotes unity and friendship among college women. Greek life is popular not only because of the social status that comes along with the letters, but the resources and networking opportunities. So Janelle was able to obtain embodied cultural capital by having a legacy of members in her sorority. This allowed her to easily identify with members of the sorority and provide extra incentive for her to join the sorority. And as she says, being in that sorority allows her to have access to social status and resources and networking opportunities that she might not have had before. Echoing the comments of Professor Blackburn, it's important to recognize the diversity within HBCUs because they offer a wide range of academic, social, and professional opportunities that, while made with the intention of uplifting Black students, still are beneficial to others as well.
As we can see, HBCUs are more complex than dominant narratives would have you think. They're not just Black schools or party schools. Just like any other university, they're complex social organisms. They provide a wealth of experiences for their students in addition to preparing them academically.